Hello, this is Matthew Robert Payne, and this is Tolu Sarah Johnson. We're going to discuss the book Reframe Heaven, and this is chapter 11.
Thank you. Chapter 11. This is where you bring your story with you, your memory, your wounds, your journey. I know a lot of Christians that might read this or come across this video might believe that everything we're saying here is heresy. But I just want you to think very well. Why would heaven be somewhere that you forget the pain, you forget your past, you forget your moment, the moments you've experienced on earth just because you died? As though heaven required amnesia to feel like peace. That's people that do drugs. Why do they like drugs? Is it because they forget everything in that moment and then they're very high? Matthews, do you think that's why they like to it gives them a sense of freedom just for some few seconds? They forget about their past, they forget about their worries, they forget about their current challenges, and then they feel high for like few minutes. I don't know how long they feel high for. Then they come back to reality. Heaven brings you back to reality. You don't have amnesia. It reminds you of what your journey has been. Because the quiet assumption we've all carried is that to be whole, you must no longer remember. To be healed, you must no longer feel. To belong, you must no longer be who you were. And God is saying, no, 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 Tolu, that is not true. Healing is not forgetting. Wholeness is not erasing. I do not remove your story. I redeem it. That's what God does with the story. He redeems it. I remember my husband telling me that I said, so all the challenges you faced on earth, what's the point? And he said, yes, but that's what built the foundation of what I'm doing now in heaven. That's what gave me the empathy, all those suffering. I can relate so well with Papa because he suffers and I've endured some level of suffering myself. So I'm more relatable. I understand him. So I was like, okay. So this journey on heart is never a waste. There's a purpose for it. There's a meaning for it. I remember somebody telling me recently of a guy that the parents sent him to one of the most expensive boarding in UK. And the guy is just in final year and he just slumped and died. What do you think the parents will be thinking? That they've wasted the resources, they've wasted everything, like all the money they've spent on this boy just for him to die when it's just few months finishing? No, it's not wasted. I'm sure that boy is utilizing what has been instilled in him in heaven. So there's nothing that wastes. Death doesn't waste what you carry. He actually reutilizes it, reuse it, and strengthens it to be who you are in heaven. So your memory comes with you because memory is not the enemy. Your memory is not there to torment you. It is there to testify. It is there to reveal the grace of God. It is there to complete what was unfinished. Even the hard part, the moment you wish you could erase, the things you carry quietly, the part of your life that still ache, they are not ignored. They are met not with judgment, not with rejection, but with understanding, healing, truth. So your wounds come with you, not as a burden, but as invitation. Because this is where another truth unfolds. You do not arrive perfectly healed. You arrive ready to be healed, ready to be seen, ready to be restored. I remember recently, I think it was Papa saying that said that. I'm not sure. Matthew might remember who said it specifically, but I think it was Papa that when Matthew gets to heaven, he will be admitted. Is he in the hospital or how did Papa say it? It needs a lot of treatment. It needs to be put together. It's the Humpty Dumpty at the moment. It's all broken apart. So he needs to go through proper healing in heaven, which will take time, which will take process for him to be healed. So We are all carrying some level of pain. Matthew's own might be higher than yours. Surely Matthew's own is way, way higher than me. But I carry pain as well. I carry things that I closed it up. I don't want to open it, because if I open that Pandora box, I don't know what's going to happen to me. So healing happens in God's presence, not in avoidance like we do on earth. Like there are things in me I have avoided. There are pain I've closed off. There are pain I've erased from my memory, because that helps me cope. So, and that changes everything in heaven, because now your wounds are not something to hide from God. They are something He draws you into so He can restore you. So you see the wound now as part of fellowshipping with God. You can share your pain, the suffering that you endured on high. You could share it with God, and you could hear God speaking to those sufferings as well, how He felt as you were going through that pain. I remember when my husband passed on, the first 3 months, especially when I dropped the children in school and I come back home, the whole house is so quiet. Sometimes I will lie down on the floor, be rolling, I'll be crying, because I was just so desperate. And I'm like, God, how do you expect me to continue to live my life in this way? But I never knew that it was there, because I thought He just abandoned me to be in pain. But until later on, when I got the first prophecy from Matthew, and Papa was saying, we were with you. And that really comforted me, that yes, it was in that journey, it was in that pain. I wasn't just carrying that pain all by myself. And I think that's what a lot of us don't know. We don't know that God goes through so much suffering. He himself needs healing. Maybe when the whole earth is back to heaven, maybe that's when God will be able to be fully healed. So your journey comes with you. Nothing you lived was meaningless. Every step, every choice, every season, even the ones you regret, they form something in you. They form your perspective. They form your depth. They form your capacity to love. And heaven recognizes that. Because I know that so many times Papa said, I do not ignore what you have walked through. I honor it and I continue it. So this is why heaven is personal, because you do not arrive into a generic existence. You arrive into a continuation of your story, an expansion of your journey, a space that meets you where you are. So nothing is random. Your experiences matter. Your growth matters. Even your struggles carry meaning. And the light that falls away. So this is where, for me, all of this time that I spent with God, a lot of lies have been falling away from me, because this is where I understand the belief that yes, I'm still the same person, and I had to release the belief that I must leave everything behind to be accepted. No, I come with my pain. I come with all my baggages and my luggages. And I get to heaven, I'm given time, because I live in heaven for eternity. There's no rush. And because God is not asking you to disappear, He's inviting you to be known, to be understood, to be healed. And it becomes beautiful, because what once felt heavy in heaven will start becoming understood, restored, transformed. There's so many phases of my life that I've experienced that I don't know why I had to go through that. But hopefully, when I get to heaven, I will be able to understand the meaning. So all of this past will not be erased, but they will be redeemed. And that's the difference. Your stories is not a mistake. It is something God is still writing. God is still writing my story. I don't know what is going to happen next week. I don't know what is going to happen in these conversations that we have with heaven every day. Just keep shifting, because God is the one writing the story, and mine is to follow the storyline. So hopefully you will be able to see as well that God is in your story. Let the shift begin. Stop trying to forget your past. Stop trying to hide your wounds. Stop trying to disconnect from your journey, because you begin to see everything you are comes with you, not to limit you, but to be transformed in a way that is real. So thank you, and I will hand you over to Matthew.
So one day I was in bed, and I had Michael Jackson come and visit me in bed, and Whitney Houston came and visited me, and I was talking to him. I got to know Whitney Houston a little bit, and I was later to find out that she spent her first few years in heaven in therapy. I thought that was pretty strange that she'd need to go through therapy for a few years in heaven. I came to realize that she was abused as a child, and that's one of the reasons that she was using drugs when she died. And you, it's a popular Christian teaching, like we shared in the last chapter, that when you get to heaven, you'll go through this car wash. Some of you have heard what Tolu has had to say so far in this chapter, and you'd be sad. You are hoping that all your wounds and your sadness and your hurt and your pain would be washed away by the transition, that you'd get to heaven, you wouldn't remember the trauma that you've been through on earth wouldn't affect you anymore. You're just hoping that you just close that door to your pain, close that door to your wounds and your tragedy that you've been through on earth. And I'm sorry, I want to personally apologize to you that that's not the truth. People in heaven have to either be healed and fixed from their therapy, or they live fixed through therapy, or they actually live from that place of pain. And we know that on earth, certain people with addictions and different behaviors and personalities, narcissists, for instance, live from a place of pain. They never healed the pain. They responded the wrong way to pain, and that's how they live their life with that personality. And there's so many people living wayward lives and disturbed sort of lives because of their wounds. So you may have, up until the time you read this book, thought that that pain was going to disappear, and I say a second time, it's not going to disappear. And you can be happy that there's therapists in heaven. There's people who are trained in counselling in heaven. A lot of the children in heaven that grew up from being abortions have been trained in therapy, and you'll be in good hands. And what you've been pushing away and what you've been avoiding all your life, what you've been hiding, like Toulouse says, she's buried certain pain in her life, that will come to the surface, and you'll finally work on that. Not only will that happen, but you'll have your memories. You'll have the memory of the time you won that sack race. You'll have the time when you came second in that 50-meter race. You'll have a memory of the time you caught that big fish. You'll have the memory of that great wave that you caught, or that getting a hole in one, or getting a ball in the golf in two shots or whatever, in a birdie. You'll have all your good memories, and you'll have your bad memories. You'll have your trauma, and you'll have the memory of your journey on earth, the things that you achieved. You'll be recognized for the things that you achieved on earth. You'll have reward in heaven. So it's not just a car wash. You're not just going to arrive in heaven and have your life transformed in arriving in heaven, but you're going to have your trauma and your wounds and memories of the good and the bad in your life when you arrive in heaven.
Wow. Thank you, Matthew. So it will be good for Apostle Paul to speak into this, because I know he did experience a lot of pain while he was on earth. What was the transition like when you got to heaven?
So when I got to heaven, I was celebrated. I was not really understood at a high level on earth. I didn't have a lot of people that personally related to me because I lived such a disciplined, a structured, prophetic, seriously mature life in Christ. There wasn't a lot of contemporaries on earth. I said in one of my letters, everyone has abandoned me except such and such. So when I was in heaven, when I got to heaven, I had new friends selected for me, people who've done well in their faith, and mostly Old Testament saints, and I developed new friendships. But I still had trauma. I still had a resentment, I'd say, in me for what I suffered. I sort of you wouldn't think you'd need to forgive God for the traumatic life that you've been through. If you suffer, sometimes you blame God for your suffering. So I had to go through a process of speaking to people and dealing with and flushing out that pain, that idea of being let down by God. When I complained about the thorn in my flesh, which was a demon that used to cause trouble and cause harassment in the places I was with, and I'd get bashed and I'd get whipped and stoned, and all sorts of trouble would happen because this demon used to follow me around. I had to deal with that. I had to deal with those issues, and when I got to heaven, and people, when you're really close to God, you have people who are jealous of you. You have people who reject you. You have people that don't understand you. And yes, that can happen in heaven too. People may not feel so close to you. Um, but yes, I brought memories of my past life, memories of my suffering, memories of my journey, both the good and the bad, to heaven with me.
Wow. Thank you, Apostle Paul. So as we close this chapter, I want you to remember that you do not leave your story behind when you enter heaven. You bring it with you, your memory, your wounds, your journey, not to relieve the pain, but to finally understand it, heal through it, and see what it was always becoming. And when you begin to see that, you stop wishing you could erase your story, and you begin to trust it still has purpose beyond what you've lived. God bless.
God bless you.